Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at disneyplus.com, and in this interview I'm going to be speaking with Bryant, who works on the Mysterious Benedict Society. So Bryant, could you give us a bit of an idea of what you do on the Mysterious Benedict Society?
Sure. I was the CG supervisor on that show, and the DFX. I basically managed all the 3D computer graphics for the show. So that involved managing the teams that came up with the digital boats and trains, and there was a dirigible and all these other kind of 3D assets that we used throughout the show. Yeah,
that's cool. And did you work? Was that the air blimp as well? Was that? Did you work on that one as well? The big airship.
Oh yeah. Which we call the Inverness. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Which,
on that, and then also helped with the design of it, which was interesting. Yeah.
Because that's one of the cool things I think with the Mysterious Benedict side. It's kind of got a very unique look. It's kind of like you're never really quite sure where it is or what time it is. How much was that involved with kind of? Did you take that into the consideration?
Quite a bit actually. So when we started the project, there was already a season 1. So that was a large body of work that we could draw from for the design and the style. And also Disney provided us with a great amount of art books and style guides that they designed for the show. And that covered a large portion of it. And then everything else that wasn't covered, they were very generous in giving us a lot of creative input. So we had teams of designers that would come up with a lot of the ideas and designs from that as well, all based off of this 1950s, 1960s amalgam of European type influences, all kind of mashed together in this kind of futuristic sort of world.
Okay. Did you get a chance to come out to do any research, or did you just have to do it through books, etc.?
No, we didn't travel to Europe. We did no, unfortunately. But we relied on a lot of magazines and other like fashion and architecture from that era and that part of the world. So mostly just pouring through books and other references and old photos.
That's cool. And obviously the ship was a major part of the first part of this, the second season. What kind of research went into that one? Did you actually have to go to?
So that was very much based off of the Queen Mary, which is docked here in Los Angeles, actually in Long Beach. So we had I was very familiar with the boat already. I'd been there many times. So was most of my team. So, but we took photos. They shot a lot of this episode 2, which took place, on the shortcut, but was filmed on the Queen Mary in Long Beach. We used a lot of that for reference. Old ocean liners we looked up. There's even some elements of, even like say the Titanic in there, although it certainly was not based on Titanic in any way, but that kind of era of transoceanic boats and ships.
Yeah. So what was kind of your highlight working on the Mysterious Benedict Society?
I think it was the design. It was the style. It's very unique. It certainly isn't one of those shows that is just just I don't know how to describe it. Where everything's kind of like cut and dried. And it's like very very standard. It has a very unique style to it, which was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to kind of work on stuff that was from that era, and and this kind of this quirky sort of eccentric sort of style.
Yeah, because a couple of months ago I was speaking with the executive producers of the show, and they were saying how they tried to make everything kind of electric but also kind of like old fashioned. So they said it was like a really kind of weird thing, and so I always thought it was quite weird how that when you're watching it and just looking out for these kind of things. I always thought that was very interesting about the whole show as a whole.
Totally.
So what was your biggest challenge to working on the show?
I think it might have been some of those shots when we're on the water, because again, everything when we're on the boat was shot in on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, and of course that boat hasn't sailed in like what 20-30 years, probably even more. So we had to make it look like it was on the middle of the ocean and traveling at speed and these big waves and it was wake and all this other stuff. So we basically had to recreate the Atlantic Ocean. And it was a tremendous amount of time and fluid simulation data and other, just constant tweaks and constant revisions to get the ocean to look and behave the way that we wanted it to.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed, like with the shots of the towns and stuff, they kind of look they almost look like models, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They kind of had. Was that a distinct style that you were going for?
Yeah, so that was an asset that was reused from season 1, because in season 1 we had a lot of the city of Stonetown kind of played like a much more prominent role in that season, but it's back in season 2, so we were able to use a lot of the same assets for that. But yeah, everything. It was the town doesn't exist. So it had to be recreated, and it had to be done in a way that looked real, yet still had this fantastical sort of, just this hodgepodge of different influences from around the world, basically. Not even Europe. It wasn't even just Europe too. It was from all different places around the world. Was all those style elements played into it. Yeah.
And I gotta ask, how did you kind of get involved in working on the series?
So it was assigned to me, but I was very happy to be put on it, because my producers came to me and were like, hey, we have this new show coming in for Disney, and I wasn't totally familiar with it at the time, but it didn't take me long after watching a couple episodes to be like, wow, this is great. This is a very, very interesting show. And I became a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of that weird thing as well with the show, is it's so different than anything else out there, like with Marvel and Star Wars, but also kind of it doesn't. Of the second season's been airing on the Disney Channel as well, but it doesn't have that same kind of Disney Channel vibe that you'd expect.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you've also worked on some other movies and stuff. How, like the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, how does it compare working on like a Disney Plus series to like a feature film?
Nowadays it's not that much different. The scope of what you do is very much the same. I mean, obviously a big Marvel movie is going to have way longer schedules and bigger budgets and huge visual effects and so on and so forth. But the lines between something that's, say, a quote unquote television show streaming and a movie are blurring and becoming much closer together. So it's really the same process and the same considerations and a lot of the same level of work are being done on both nowadays.
That's cool. And I was looking through your CV, and I know there's definitely one big Disney film that I definitely got to ask, because I remember going to the cinema and see it. What was it like working on Flubber?
Right. Yeah, that was my first job. That was in the late 90s. It was great. It was fun. It was back in those days, it was it was a little bit it was very early days of computer graphics for sure. So you had to you had to pull a lot of stuff out of the rabbit's hat, or the rabbit's out of the hat, so to speak, because there wasn't like established methodologies for accomplishing a lot of these effects. So you kind of had to make it up or figure it out as you went. So very exciting times, and a lot of fun. But man, that was a long time ago.
It was that kind of weird. I was like, wow, I was barely a teenager when that came out, but it was such a big movie. I also noticed as well you've worked with Disney on some like commercials and stuff. Again, how does that differ from doing like a TV series?
Oh, well, the main thing is, you know, commercials usually 30 seconds. So your work is very focused on usually one particular effect or one particular gag. You know, commercials. A lot of commercials tell stories the same way as a film or a television show does, but yeah, condensed into 30 seconds. So it's much more intense work, but it's over quickly. So you know, a couple, you know, maybe 2-3 weeks a month, and that commercial is already on the air, and you're on to the next one. Television shows last for months.
That's cool. And obviously, like, I mean, especially like coming up this month, we've got like the big Avatar: The Way of Water movie coming out. How difficult is it, like, constantly keeping up with the technology changes with like special effects?
Nonstop. Absolutely nonstop. So like every day, something new, some new software comes out, some new technique is developed. You know, they're doing virtual productions now with giant volume stages, and that didn't exist even as much as like 2-3 years ago. So it's just a constant state of evolution, and it's a constant challenge to keep up to date on the new technologies. But you know, that's also the fun part of it, you know, because if you're a technology nerd like me, then you live and breathe it anyways.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was always being kind of interested in movies and being like you know, studying like computers and stuff at uni and stuff. It was always that part with special effects has always drawn me in, always like watching like the documentaries and stuff on the behind the scenes. So it's always great to kind of catch up on this. But before I head off, I just want to ask you one quick question, and sure. I asked everyone, what has been your favorite Disney Plus original so far, other than the Mysterious Benedict Society? We got to discount.
Oh, right. That's a good question. Let me think. It has to be one.
Yeah, you can go for multiple. It's perfect. It's all open.
You know, I'm going to pick WandaVision just because it started off one way, and I didn't know anything going into it, and because I kind of already set up my mind that this was the way the show was going to go. When it twisted, you know, I think after like the third or fourth episode, it was. Yeah, I love being fooled like that, you know, because a lot of times, you know, you can kind of smell the way a show is going to go, and there's nothing left to kind of discover it. But that one really pulled the wool over my eyes in a great way. So very entertaining.
And also, especially, I mean, one of the things that's been really good with the new sort of shows and stuff is obviously we're getting like episodes like Assembled, where they give us behind the scenes, and we get, you know, seeing like how WandaVision, when, you know, they painted everybody, you know, they had to paint in blue and all the special effects and stuff. It's just it's been great being able to see that side. Do you like the fact now that it's being a bit more open for us to see it, or do you prefer us not to know about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there?
Sorry, I was rambled. But yeah, it was basically just along the lines of like with like Assembled and stuff. We get to see how these shows and stuff get made. Do you like the viewer knowing more about it, or do you prefer us to kind of be a little bit more in the dark?
I kind of like being in the dark, you know. Anytime I work on a show, and then I end up seeing the show, it's always kind of it kind of takes the magic out of it, and you already kind of know what's going to happen, or if you know it's fine. I like being an oblivious audience member.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna be honest, I tend to only watch the first trailer for anything and then try and stay away from it. But again, thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to us today. Obviously, the Mysterious Benedict Society is out now on Disney Plus, and yeah, just thank you so much for taking your time out to speak to us.
All right, thank you very much, too.
Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.